honored to be given this text about the Wheel of Life. And we completed the first book 3 years ago. 3 years ago. It took us about 4 years actually. And it was, I should call it my initiation into the text, and it was so beautiful. It was a textbook, a monastic textbook, and it is a analysis, deep analysis of the theory of the concept of Wheel of Life, and it was presented in the debate mode. So I learned the Wheel of Life, I learned the debate as well, and of course I learned the logic. So I was very fortunate. And in the first book, oh yeah. So it is going to be published as a book with the title "Stopping the Circle of Sadness," which is very beautiful. Thank you, Geshe.
Yeah, that's his first book.
Wow, it looks thick. About 450 pages. So we learn about the will, and interestingly, just the 12 links, that's all, nothing else. When you look at the picture, just at the entrance here, the will is big, a lot of components. But in our context, we only talk about the 12 links, that's all. And the 12 links alone are so deep and interesting, I would say. And Khetrap Tempa Darge is the master who wrote the book, the interpretation to this theory. And we call it, he didn't leave any stones unturned, meaning that he actually went in pretty detail. He gave us a lot of different variations of understanding that we might not have thought of. And that actually gave me personally a very much better understanding of this will itself. And what is beautiful about this book that we finished is that Geshe Michael added introductions, and we also have appendixes. Especially in the introduction, there is traditionally stories about the source of this will. We have one which is pretty common that we covered in 2017 in Borobudur, the story about the king Bibisara and Udrayana. And then there are two more sources that Geshe Michael managed to unearth and included into the book. And one of the stories is the Lady of Pearls, which is pretty new to me, and it's pretty fascinating. We spoke about the emancipation, the equal right between men and women. And I think that's very inspirational. And then, of course, the other source is about why this was covered in the Vinaya text, about why Lord Buddha actually introduced this theory into the monastic rules. And of course, not to forget is the appendix. If you realize, especially books written by Geshe Michael, I always love to read the appendix and the footnotes. I always tell people, never ignore the footnotes because there are so many details in there. In this book itself, I know Geshe Michael spent a lot of time, but I also spend a lot of time to make sure that we have all the information included in the footnotes. And those are a source of a lot of good information. So we completed that book. We continued to the second book, which was actually written by Master Vasubandhu. And we know him as Abhidhamma person because he wrote the Abhidhamma Kosha. And it was a very, I would say, very traditional, very textbook style, very deep, but sometimes can be pretty boring. I'm sorry to say that. But no, I found it to be interesting. But if you are uninitiated, you might find that the content is a bit dry. But the moment we enter this book about the Wheel of Life by Master Vasubandhu, to borrow Geshe Michael's expression, is that he was like coming out of the closet and started jumping around. I mean, this is my feeling. He started to tell you. The title is called The First Principle and the Dependence. In the first principle, there are two things. Are they different or are they the same? Oh, so that was already the opening. I was thinking, yeah, normally when we have two principles, we will think that one support the other. But our master here said that no, they're actually the same thing. Why? And then he start to dig very, very deep. Okay. And then we went into the will, the 12th link. And then he start to peel. I mean, I want you to imagine you are peeling like maybe orange or onion. He start to peel layer by layer, deeper and deeper. And it made you like, I don't know whether you have read those kind of a novel, romance novel that you cannot stop putting down, what's next, what's next? That is the kind of feeling, what's next, what's next? It's so exciting. And then, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one excited here. When we first got our book, I was like, okay, somebody's book looks cooler than mine, But after a few years, yeah, this is my book. I'm so excited. I think you will see that in all of us. And then traditionally, the Will of Life teaching will focus a lot of time on the first link. But guess what? This book by Master Vasubandhu focus on the third link. I think we discussed about that few sessions ago, right? Because he is the mind-only guy, and he put a lot of emphasis into the third link, which is the consciousness. I think you should read the book when it's done, right? Or you can watch back the recordings. It was so interesting. He was telling people, we know about the 6 senses, but that was just the surface. If you want to go deeper, you know, to understand the 8. Wow, okay, what is that? And then he went into a lot of, I should call it controversial arguments, but why consciousness is caused by the second link, which is raw karma, instead of the traditional way of thinking about the mind, the object, and the attention. And we are in the midst of that topic. We sort of settled, but it is still not settled yet. We are going to go further into this today. So with that, I hope you have a slightly better understanding and we can go